to the Running Back Podcast, where we run back everything from the 80s and 90s. I'm Jason.
I'm Sarah.
And today we're watching Hocus Pocus.
Now, before we start, we had some real technical difficulties. So we've been gone for 2 weeks. We recorded Fern Gully, and it just didn't work out. We're going to have to re-record it later, but all of October we're going to do Halloween movies. So we'll catch Fern Gully in November. All right.
So Hocus Pocus was released July of 1993. And when I looked that up, it didn't compete with Nightmare Before Christmas.
And the second Addams Family. But I think it hurt it. Like, it said it had a $28 million budget, and it says that it made $39.5 at the box office, which to me is a gain, right? But then over here it said that it lost $16.5 million, and I'm not an advanced mathematician or nothing, but I didn't understand.
I think on Wikipedia it said possibly losing Walt Disney Corporation $16.7 million.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I didn't get that either.
I don't know. I know that the critics were real bitchy about the movie. Hold on. I know you always do the reviews at the end, but just real fast. The critic said Entertainment Weekly was particularly put off by the movie, calling it a piece of corny slapstick trash and saying that it's acceptably scary, silly kid fodder that adults will find only mildly insulting, unless they're Bette Midler fans, in which case it's depressing as hell. Bette Midler said it's her favorite movie she's ever done.
People have different tastes.
I guess.
And that's okay, but some people don't think that's okay.
I know. All right, sorry to step on your
flow.
Your stick there at the end, but I think it would have done better had it come out in like September or October, right? When they're all Halloween-y. Because I watch this a ton every October. Shout out to Freeform's 31 Days of Halloween. But this is the earliest I've ever watched it, and it is currently 85 degrees outside, and I could not get into it just because it is so warm outside. So there's no way I would have been into it in July.
True. Alright, so the movie starts out on this book. The book's dated 1693. I guess it details what happened to the Anderson sisters. Sanderson.
Oh my God.
I was close. I only missed by one letter.
What are their names?
Sarah.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if they named her that so she would remember her lines.
Could be.
Farrah?
No. Mary? Uh-huh.
I don't remember that.
Winifred?
So the book chronicles the Sanderson sisters. They were witches. They used the life force of little kids to extend their lives using a potion from this book that was given to them by the devil.
Right.
Supposedly.
When the movie opens, they're very old and gray-haired and kind of withered away. And they're looking up the life force potion to mix up this batch of goo to feed to this little girl, to feed to Emily Binks.
And that releases her life force, and they suck on it kind of like a vape almost.
They vapor.
They just hotbox this little girl's life energy.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
They're all just sitting there.
Yeah. Do you think, like, the longer you hold it in, each breath in, the better it works, or you think it's a Bill Clinton?
Like a volume kind of deal. Like the more you can get.
I was thinking like if like Bill Clinton didn't inhale kind of situation, if it would still work or not.
I don't know. So they have lured this little girl Emily into the woods, which previous to this, you see her older brother trying to keep her from going into the woods. He saw the purple smoke.
What is the older brother's name?
Zach.
Thackeray. With a T.
I wrote Zach the entire time.
I know, that's why I ask you. Thackeray Binks.
Well, it's a rough one. So
it's the 17th century.
He sends a friend to go get help as he goes in. They saw the purple smoke and they knew that the witches were conjuring something.
Right.
I guess it was previously known that these three sisters were witches. So he's in there and they're mixing up their potion from the recipe and they're about to feed it to
Emily.
Emily, Thackeray's little sister.
That's right.
And he yells out to stop him. And he jumps down off the loft that he's in and grabs this scalding hot cauldron with his bare fucking hands.
His little sister's about to die.
Yeah, but come on.
You're my
still
thing.
Not gonna grab the scalding hot cauldron.
Here's my thing. When he does that, Winifred, the main witch, Bette Midler, like zaps him with this little lightning thing she does, and it is like the only time she uses it in the whole movie. She uses it once later, but a lot of her problems could have been solved with doing that more often.
Yeah, I mean,
if you got lightning in your fingertips, use that shit.
Yeah, you can't be half in the game. Like
I'm saying,
you either use the magic 100% or you step out. Like,
yeah,
you use it or lose it, man. Like, here they're all puffing on this little girl here, absorbing all her life force, and they get younger. She kind of slumps over in the chair, and I guess
now her hair is all gray. Yeah, she's dead.
They're all younger, and it's kind of weird to me that Sarah Jessica Parker's witch, who is also named Sarah, is just wearing this
corset.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even connected to the bottom half of her dress.
No, it is not.
Literally just a corset. Boobs all hanging out. And all throughout the movie, they talk about this virgin and...
It is...
What is Danny, Max's little sister... We'll get to that, but she brings up boobs. Boobs are brought up through the whole thing.
It is very sexual for a Disney movie. They say virgin I don't know how many times, and Sarah Jessica Parker's character always wants to play with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like, every time they find a little boy, she's like, ooh, let me play with him.
Yeah,
and I'm
she's definitely DTF pedophile mode. Like, she's the whole time.
It's definitely a little creepy.
So going back to them getting younger, they all look younger, more colorful. The only one that really looks better is Sarah Jessica Parker. Bette Midler still looks younger, but still you tell she's the oldest of the sisters. And the other one's just the way she does her mouth and her tongue, just crazy.
I do not know.
She plays crazy real good.
I do not know how she is able to move her mouth full onto the side of her face like that, but it is an immense talent.
So they get younger. They turn Thackeray into...
Are you going to say it like that every time? Well, when he becomes a cat, you can call him Binks.
Well, I was calling him Salem the whole time because all I could think of was Sabrina.
That's Sabrina.
That's all I could think of.
Oh my goodness.
So I wrote down Salem at one point, knowing that wasn't his name. I eventually crossed it out and put Zachary, which apparently still isn't his name.
Thackeray. It's like Zachary with a little bit of a lisp.
To punish Thackeray, they turn him into a cat.
An immortal cat.
Immortal cat, so he can live with the guilt of losing his sister forever.
That's right.
They kind of cut to the chase a little bit, where all the people have came to the house and they're all waiting to be hung or hanged.
Well, the witches are waiting to be executed.
Yeah.
They're all standing around. They want to know where Thackeray is. Yeah. Because they found Emily. She's dead. They can't find Thackeray. He's like running around their feet and they're kicking at him.
Get away, you foul beast.
She said she doesn't know where he is. Cat's got her tongue. Yeah. Like, to me, that should have been like, oh, shit. She's got to mean something by that.
It probably took somebody way later to figure that out. So they're all...
Well, one of the townspeople is holding her book.
Which is bound by human flesh. And an eyeball.
It has an eyeball. And he gets scared and he drops the book. And it opens to the page they need. So she's able to look down and read the spell she needs. So that after they kill them, they can come back when a virgin lights the black flame candle on Halloween during the full moon. So, a lot of stipulations.
Lot of
if I was going to bring myself back to life, I wouldn't make it quite so hard.
Yeah, I'd have made it a lot easier.
As I was looking it up in real life, the last full moon on Halloween was 1974, and the next one is 2020. So I wouldn't have made it so difficult on myself to come back, but I guess maybe you need all the magic.
Yeah. So they get hanged, which is the proper past tense pronunciation of that word.
Okay.
In that form. We cut to modern day, I guess 1993. And we're in Max's class. Max has just moved to Salem.
Which was really like a big plot point of a lot of movies in the 90s. Like,
the new kid.
This California kid comes to this different place.
Oh, sunshine.
Like, it is a real, like, plot device in a lot of movies. But here he's in the classroom, he has on a tie-dyed shirt, he's collaring this Grateful Dead poster that just has a giant pot leaf at the top.
I'm not seeing the pot leaf.
It is at the very top in the center.
I guess in 1993 you get away with a lot more stuff. Like,
I guess.
Letting Sarah Jessica Parker be... I guess that was for the adults, the entertainment.
Now, this is not a video podcast, just so you know, that was let Sarah Jessica Parker's tits be out, was the gesture he made.
Yeah. So he's new to this neighborhood. He's kind of tired of this story he's been hearing all week, because he's only been there a week. Halloween is today.
Right.
About these 3 witches and this place is haunted, blah, blah, blah. And he's just...
So he is skeptical of this story that all these people in Salem just buy. And he speaks up in class about it and he says that Halloween was made by the candy company. That it's all a scam. And this girl, Allison, that he likes, told him, about All Hallows Eve and how Halloween actually came to be. And he just writes his name and number down on a piece of paper, gets up in the middle of class in front of everybody and hands it to her. It was like, if Jimi Hendrix shows up tonight, here's my phone number. Yeah. I was like, that's a pretty bold move to give the hot girl her number.
Yeah, but she rolls with it, takes the piece of paper, hands it back to him with him thinking that she gave him her number. But she just handed him back his piece of paper.
Yeah.
So he's kind of mad about that.
But she did that in private, to be fair.
She didn't blast him in front of the whole class. So he's kind of irritated about that. He's going home. He runs into these 2 typical bully people.
They are like caricatures of bullies. Like, so 90s, so annoying. Jay and Ernie, who would like to be called Ice, and has ice shaved into the back of his head. Also, Jay has on like all black and a leather jacket, and he has a flannel shirt tied around his waist, which was a very 90s thing to do. But his flannel shirt is tied backwards around his waist, which I've never seen anybody do.
Crisscross. Gotta jump.
Crisscross. Okay. Fair enough. Moving on.
They want some smokes. He doesn't have them. Money. Doesn't have them. They end up taking his new shoes.
His Nikes.
He gets... Obviously, he's mad that this happens. But he comes home. He's pissy. His parents made him move there. He's had a shit day. The girl he likes kind of brushed him off. These bullies took his shoes. But he never mentions, like, hey, I need to find another pair of shoes.
Yeah, well, he just runs upstairs and his mom's like, he wasn't wearing any shoes. And his dad's like, oh, it's probably some form of protest. Yeah, so they're bad parents. Throughout the entire movie, they are bad parents.
They're only... I wouldn't say they're bad parents. I mean, they're dealing with a teenager here. He's hormonal and emotional. And
they're bad parents.
They're not that bad. He goes home. He's kind of fantasizing about Allison. Doesn't know his little sister Danny's in the closet waiting to scare him.
He gets a pillow and starts like cuddling it and making out with it and moaning her name.
Got bold in there in the broad daylight hours.
Yes, he did. His little sister pops out of the closet having heard it all.
So he's a little bit embarrassed about that, so he gets mad at her. She wants him to tells him that they're going trick-or-treating. He tells her no. She pulls I'm a little sister, I'm going to get what I want, just starts screaming for mom. So he's mad he's got to take her anyways, but they end up going trick-or-treating.
He just comes downstairs like he had on just like a jacket and a hat. And his dad was like, what are you supposed to be? And he's like, I'm a rap singer. I thought it was really weird that he said rap singer instead of rapper.
Guess I didn't come to that term till later.
I guess.
So they go trick-or-treating. They see the bullies again. They're taking tolls from people's bags.
A big toll. Like, he tries to go the other way, and the little sister wants to go past him. The bullies stop and was like, stop her. And they're like 11 chocolate bars to get by. That is that is a hefty toll.
There were a lot of them. She basically tells him to fuck off, and
Oh, she has way more balls than Max does.
And she's like, you all don't know that my older brother's over here, and he's just like, shut up. He's trying to, like, crawling out of his skin. Finally, one of them goes to grab the little sister's bag. He jumps in. He ends up giving him his bag.
Right.
And then she's mad at him for giving up the bag of candy. He's like, they would have killed me.
She said, you should have hit him. And he said, they would have killed me. And she said, at least you would have died like a real man.
Yeah.
I was like, jeez Louise, you're going to be a mean-ass wife when you grow up.
He tells her to hurry up, get the candy, and get out of his life. She gets mad, starts crying on a bale of hay and some pumpkins.
It was very, just like, threw herself on a random bale of hay, but I was like, that's so weird. And then I was like, no, it's very Disney princess. Like, all the Disney princesses just throw themselves over something random. Like, Snow White did it, Ariel did it, Jasmine did it. They all just find some random thing and just drape themselves over exactly like her and cry.
He apologizes to her.
The bale of hay ended up being at Allison's mansion.
Yeah.
Because apparently she's a rich girl.
They apologize, they make up, they look at this house, and they start making fun of it. They probably have cider and want to buy for apples, and they go inside, and there's all kinds of food laid out, like the big cauldron of candy bars. And then Allison comes.
They are having the most sophisticated of costume parties because they're just all dressed
colonial
style. Yeah. But Allison comes down. She gives the little girls candy bars. They start talking about the Sanderson sisters.
Yeah. Missed about one letter.
Feel like we've seen this movie an awful lot for you to have missed it by any letters.
I've seen this movie way too much.
Hurtful.
So.
But she said her mom used to be the curator at the museum. And he wants to impress her. So he decides, he's like, hey, let's go to the museum. Make a believer out of me just so he can hang out with her more.
And the museum just happens to be their
now,
old
hold on.
house. The Sandersons.
If you wanted to talk about what the little sister calling him out on liking Allison's boobs, now is your time.
So she's like, you're Allison. And what does she say?
She calls them yabos.
He was like, he really likes your, what do you call them? And she's like, yabos. And he is behind her, dying, telling her to shut up.
Like, when Allison looks at him, he smiles. And then when she looks away, he's like threatening the little sister. I was like, I don't know if creepily smiles is the way to go when you're being outed as looking at her boobs. How old do you think they're supposed to be? Max and Allison.
Max and Allison are in early high school.
So, like, 15, 16, or?
Yeah. No car yet. Although he does drive later in the movie, but I don't think he really knew how.
Right. I just wonder because online it was talking about how, you have to be a virgin to light the black flame candle. And when they go to the house that we're getting ready to talk about, he offers her the lighter and asks if she wants to light it. And she said no. And it was like, she said no, which was meant to imply she wasn't a virgin. And I was like, I think she just didn't want to bring witches back from the grave.
Yeah.
I don't think that this, like, little 15-year-old girl just isn't a virgin and they're just going to throw that in a Disney movie. I think she just didn't want to bring witches back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really stupid.
So they go up to the house, look around, and that happens.
If the prophecy is that a virgin has to light the black flame candle, why the fuck, as a museum, do you sell lighters?
I guess that's why old Thackeray had to guard the museum.
Y'all, I wish you could see his face every time he says Thackeray. Like I named him that.
Well, anyway, old Max is probably the dumbest dude in the whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he does a couple of things. And one is, anytime you could possibly bring about the apocalypse, let's just go ahead and not do whatever step you're about to do.
If the prophecy says that, like, this black cat guards this candle on Halloween, and you go to light this candle on Halloween and get attacked by a black cat, why do you try a second time to light the candle? And if you're Thackeray and you have that you can talk in your back pocket and attacking him as a cat didn't work, why when he goes to light it again do you not go, hey buddy, fucking knock it off?
Nah, that would have been a good thing to do.
I really like this movie. It's as many holes as I'm shooting in it.
Yeah, but old Max grabs the Zippo, lights the candle like it's nothing. Then when it turns black, it's like that's the moment he realized,
like, oh,
I
shit.
have fucked up.
It turns black, and then all the other lights and candles in the whole building go out. The floor starts shaking. It turns green.
He's like, what's going on? His little sister's like, a virgin lit the candle.
Yeah. They're really driving home that virgin thing.
Thackeray had tried to stop him already, but kind of helps once the witches come back.
Yeah, the floor shakes and turns green. All the lights go off. Everything kind of stops for a minute, and you're like, oh, maybe it's going to be okay. All the lights come back on, the fireplace lights itself, and then the door swings open, and there are the sisters.
They come in, they're still 300 years later, but they're still the younger versions.
Right.
After they sucked out all Emily's life force.
Right. So the kids all hide, but Mary's special power is that she can smell children. So she can smell Danny. Apparently Child has like an age limit because she can never seem to smell the older ones.
I think the younger ones are just stronger.
The younger ones just smell better?
Yeah.
But she's like, I can smell children. It's a little girl. 7, 8, maybe. Like, she knows it's vintage.
So,
to Danny's credit, when they find her, she gives herself up. She's like, I lit the black flame candle. I brought you back. You're welcome. I'm going to be heading out now.
Yeah, she tries to make herself like she wanted this to happen. Blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. But
I like that she wasn't like, my brother's over there. He's a dumbass.
They get her.
They have her in the chair. They're going to mix up some potion.
And they're looking around for the book, but why didn't they memorize this potion? They obviously needed it multiple times.
I don't know.
To keep living.
I make my own taco seasoning and I still don't have it memorized. I have to bring up the recipe every time.
I feel like that. I mean, if this was a life or death situation in your taco seasoning, I feel like you would.
Sometimes my taco seasoning is a life or death situation. She knows some of it. She keeps getting tripped up on the dead man's toes.
So they don't know where the book is, but the book is in the case, right?
No, she immediately knows where the book is. She taps on the glass to wake it up, talking to it, and then she sits the little girl down in the chair, and they're talking about what they're gonna do. But Max jumps up and scares them.
Yeah.
And before they're able to do anything, he jumps up on top of the loft with his lighter. And tells them, like, they all fight and whatever, and he jumps up on the top of the loft with the lighter and says he's going to rain down he's going to unleash the burning rain of death, and holds the lighter to the sprinklers. So they all take cover, and they bust out the glass that's hiding the book and take the book.
So they take the book, they get away.
Right.
Thackeray leads them to a church cemetery, is that what that was?
It is a cemetery, it's hollowed ground.
So that the witches can't step foot.
Right. Apparently it is very literally cannot step foot because they can fly like an inch off the ground and that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at this point they know that Thackeray can talk.
Which they all came to terms with real quick.
Yeah.
After he unleashes the burning rain of death, they're all hiding, they come to, they realize it's just water, whatever. They run out to chase them. They think the road is black water, and so they toss Sarah in it to see how deep it is, and it's a road, and they're fine, and they start to run down the road after them, and then the fire trucks come, and terrifies them, but they're hiding behind the sign, and the firefighters come out, and they're like, oh, look at their axes, they're witch hunters. Which just made me think of Good Omens, and I was like, oh, I wonder if all the witches have 3 nipples. And then all I could think of was Good Omens for the rest of the damn movie.
Good Omens is pretty good.
It was good.
So, in another brilliant move, Max, they run around the cemetery, they get away from the witches, there's a little lead into a sewer near the cemetery, and Max just lights his lighter in the middle of the sewer. Like,
you expected like bad. Christmas Vacation style the sewer gas to go up.
But just during that whole fight, I wouldn't call it a fight scene, but that whole scene is when I had written down they had a lot of cleavage for Disney, because Sarah Jessica Parker is like on her broom, kind of acting like it's a pole, and every time she says something, does something, she's very
seductive
or fluid with her movements.
Right. Well, I think that's just her superpower, her special power. Like Mary,
she's the one that lures them in with the sirens.
Right. Mary can smell the children, and then she's able to like seduce these kids in. Like she rides around and sings the song.
And the oldest one's able to read.
And the oldest one seems to be the only one with any common sense, I guess. But while they're in the cemetery, before they jump down the sewer, she brings back a zombie. She brings back Billy Butcherson, who used to be Winifred's boyfriend, but then got busy with her sister Sarah. So Winifred killed him and sewed his mouth shut. She brings him back to life because she thinks that he'll help her, and capture these kids. So he's now chasing these kids all around and into the sewer and stuff.
I could see him getting down with
Sarah. If you were Winifred's boyfriend, you'd probably go for Sarah too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Rude, but I can see that. But she tells her sisters that they have to get more children and drink the potion by sunup, because that's when the black flame candle's going to go out. If they haven't sucked more life force out by sunup, they're going to die permanently.
At this point, the witches are looking for the kids and they run into the bus, right?
Right, yeah. They're very confused by what the bus is, and this also is very just kind of sexual, because she said something about, what are you looking for? And she said, we want children. He was like, yeah, it might take me a couple times, but I think I can do that for you. And then they all get on the bus, and then Sarah's just sitting on his lap driving the bus.
Yeah.
Runs over poor little Binks.
But he's immortal. He re-inflates.
He does very much just re-inflate.
But I like that the ones like I can smell children, but I can't see them because they're all in costume.
Right.
So all these kids are running around. They kind of don't know what's going on, but the oldest one kind of figures out that Halloween has turned into this spectacle a little bit.
It takes her a long time to figure that out, though. Also, did you notice that one of the costumes is Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast?
I didn't know.
I expected more Disney costumes. Mrs. Potts was really the only one I saw.
I saw a bunch of just your more generic.
There was a monster that I thought was from Monsters, Inc. Like, it looked like Sullivan, but there's just no way unless Disney's playing chess way ahead of the game.
So they
go to the devil's house.
Well, the guy is giving out candies dressed like the devil. They had just kind of made a plea for their mom.
They needed help.
This guy's giving out candy.
He's barely dressed as the devil. Yeah. He has on like red long johns, a tail, and some horns. And so they're like, oh, our master!
Yeah. Which is it's a really weird situation because his wife, he brings him in the house.
Oh,
yeah. Gives them all some candy bars. You can tell he kind of wants to party a little bit.
Oh, yeah, he does.
The wife does not.
Well, the wife has curlers in her hair, and they think she's Medusa. Thinks that she has snakes in her hair. She goes to bed, and I don't fully understand. She goes to bed and leaves these three strange-ass women in the house with her husband. Finally, she comes back downstairs, and he's like in the middle of the living room dancing with Sarah, because of course he is. Mary's watching TV, eating her cheese puffs. Winifred's going through her kitchen because she thinks it's their torture chamber. She kicks them out. They won't leave, so she sicks their little teeny tiny dog that's dressed as a demon on them. Yeah. They run outside, and that's when she realizes Halloween's become this time for kids and that the kids are all around him, and she jerks one of their masks off. She's like, the demons are the kids.
Yeah, so they end up at the adult party, which all the parents just left their kids to go trick-or-treat and went to this party, like, to have a good time.
Before they go to the party, they tell the cop what's happening. They think he's a cop. He ends up just being a guy. Right. He ends up just being a guy dressed as a cop. But he also,
like, played it up.
Is giving Max so much shit about being a virgin. I was like, this kid's so little. He's like a little baby. I mean, I guess when I was that age, it was the same way, but now that I'm an old freaking lady, I feel like this is just a little baby.
A baby.
Leave this kid alone. Yeah, so then they go to this very nice town hall Halloween party to find their parents. Also, they have a nice house. I feel like they have a decent amount of money. They just moved from LA, Max's parents. His dad is dressed like Dracula, but his costume consists of random ass pajamas. They're just like blue and white pajamas with like the Dracula cape over them and then some face paint and some fangs. But I couldn't figure out why he had on just random ass pajamas. Like they weren't black, they weren't red.
Maybe he was sleeping in his casket.
I guess. And then the mom is full on cone tit Madonna.
Yeah, just odd.
Yeah, because the little girl said, "Mommy, who are you supposed to be?" And she's like, "Madonna." I mean, obviously.
Yeah, with the yabos.
Yeah, with the pointy yabos. I've never heard a boob called a yabo. You? Is that regional?
Not this region. So they try to tell their parents what's going on. Obviously, their parents don't believe. Max has the bright idea to go up on stage, steal the mic from the guy singing to warn everybody. And then he points out that the sisters have walked into the building.
Right.
And the sisters kind of use that opportunity to put a spell on all the adults.
Right. They're singing the "I'll Put a Spell on You" song when they come in, and you can see her in the crowd just kind of like looking at the crowd and listening to the song and like memorizing the words. Like you could see her little gears turning. And then when he points them out, she's like, "Thank you for that lovely introduction," and just takes the mic and starts singing, and everybody thinks it's just the greatest thing. They
think that was all a setup.
Right.
But she basically puts a spell on them to dance until they die.
Right.
So, but the kids end up, does Thackeray tell them to cover their ears? Or
no, they were trying to get everybody to cover their ears. Nobody would listen to them.
But they get out of the building. And they run. Where do they run to?
They run to an alley with behind a lobster restaurant. But there's an old stove back there that Allison knocks down. She's like, "Oh, I have an idea." So they go to the school, and they're playing over the PA to get the witch's attention to come into the school. Mary smells that the kids are there. She's like, "What is this place? The whole place smells like kids." She's like, "It's some kind of prison for children." Yeah. But they have a tape player going in the kiln in the pottery room. So that's where they go expecting to see the kids, and they trap them in there and set them on fire. So they think the witches are dead. They think everything's great. They go home and go to sleep. And every time other than this that we have watched this movie, at this point, you start getting all your shit together because you were done watching the movie. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And you're like, "The movie's over." And I'm like, "No." But every time, no matter how many times we've watched this movie, you're like, "The movie's done. The witches are dead. We're good to go."
Try to end it early.
I guess.
They burn the witches, but you could tell immediately that there's something not right because of the green smoke that goes up. And I thought it was weird that they...
Well, I don't think a kiln gets hot enough to burn witches.
But it's weird. They recondense in the kiln and bust through the door. Why wouldn't they just...
Well, I don't think...
outside of the school?
I think that was just bits of their magic floating up. I don't think that was them.
Their mana.
Okay. But I like how they're like, "Okay, the witches are dead. Cool." They tell Binks he's part of the family. They go to their house. It's like the middle of the damn night. Their parents still aren't home. They're like, "Okay, fine." They're partying, having a good time. They all go upstairs and go to sleep. Allison stays over. She goes to sleep on top of Max.
Which I'm sure he enjoyed.
I'm sure. But then they wake up and she checks the alarm and it's like 5 a.m. Nobody's parents are home still. Nobody's been out looking for anybody, and they could not care less.
They just they must be having a good time.
They're just like, oh, they're having a real good time. Those people are old. They have 2 kids. Nobody's having a good time until after 5 a.m., buddy.
So they end up looking at the book. You know, the whole time Thackeray's been telling them not to open the book. They end up opening the book to try to help Thackeray get out of his curse of being this immortal cat.
But they thought it was fine because the witches were dead.
But this book basically turns into a beacon.
Well, Winifred had given up hope. And she had went to the window and started screaming like pig calling her book. And she's like, if you're out there, come home or let yourself be known. And the book's eye opened while they were asleep, like it hurt her.
So as soon as it opens, it sends out this beacon so they know where the book is. And
the kids have the book, they're reading it. You see the pages start glowing, you see the beam of light, and Allison goes, well, nothing weird so far. And I'm like, no, very weird. Close the book. But while they're at the devil's house, somebody stole their brooms, the witch's brooms. Yeah. So when they go and search for the book after it's made itself known, they just get whatever the hell's in the broom closet. So she has like a modern broom. Winifred has a modern broom. Sarah gets a mop. And then poor Mary has a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Just riding the old Auric around.
They break into Max's house. Max and Allison are downstairs finding salt because they read in the book that a ring of salt will stop the witches from getting them. She's going to walk home, so she wants salt to take home with her. Yeah.
But she has the most inefficient way to make a circle of salt.
She does.
Like, shaking it like a salt shaker all the way around.
Right. But while they're downstairs getting the salt, the witches break in and kidnap Binks, the book, and Emily. Danny. Sorry. Same thing.
They've already sucked all Emily's life force.
Emily gone. Rip to Emily.
Rip. But, so, they escape with the salt. Max and Allison escape with the salt. The witches go with Thackeray, Danny, and the book. But while they're going, Sarah sings her little siren song.
Right.
And, like, all the kids.
So all
the
kids
are
dancing till they die.
To their deaths. And all the kids just start zombie walking towards the sister's house.
Right. Did you find it weird that all the zombie walking kids went and got like a flashlight of some sort so they could see? I'm like, if you're zombie walking, aren't you just like, you're guided by the song? You don't really need that, but all the kids had a light.
Maybe they just need the light.
I guess. Oh, but I have on here, Sarah's on her broom very seductively singing her song and making weird movements and flailing about. And it just reminded me of like Harley Quinn's movements in the Suicide Squad movie. Like her flailing arm posy. I don't know. It had nothing to do with anything, but I have it written down.
I feel like Margot Robbie did it better.
I feel like you have a hard on for Margot Robbie, but not for Sarah Jessica Parker.
No, Sarah Jessica Parker's pretty hot. Not as
really?
hot.
You don't think she has a really long face?
No, she's fine.
Her makeup in this particular movie bothers me because her eyeshadow comes over to like the inside of your eye next to your nose and goes up and connects to her eyebrow. So the whole time I'm just leaned in trying to figure out like if that's her eyebrow, if it's growing weird, if that's her eyeshadow. Nothing to do with nothing, but it bothered me and I needed you to know.
But during this time, Allison figures out basically what the witches need to do to survive. That they have until daylight.
Right. She overhears Winifred.
If they could save Emily long enough for the sun to come up.
Right.
Or Danny long enough for the sun to come up. That they'll be fine, the witches will die. So they come up with this daylight savings time stunt to fake the witches out long enough to distract them.
Right.
And it ends up working, so they get Danny loose.
Right. They drive like this Bronco or some kind of SUV to the witch's house, and they have like red tape paper over the headlights so they're not bright white. And he tells them that he knows more than them, and it's daylight savings time, and she turns on the headlights, and they just all fall to the ground, and
Yeah,
they're very dramatic. They've fake died 3 times in the movie.
So they do their thing. Did they get the cat and the book?
They get the cat, the book, and the little girl.
Okay. So they're in the car. They're trying to drive away through these crowds of kids. And at this point, I have a problem because Bette Midler pulls up. She's like, pull over. I want to see your driver's permit. I was like, she had no idea about being pulled over. She had no idea about no driver's license.
I had a problem with it too. Like, an hour ago, you thought a road was a river.
Yeah.
You were willing to sacrifice your sister to see how deep it was.
Yeah. So she probably shouldn't have.
I guess it was just like a funny joke. And they're like, nobody will know or care. See, oh, we have it in mute. There's Mrs. Potts.
So
it was probably one of those studio notes where they were like, you got to make this funnier, more current.
But during this time, they get to... Where do they get to?
They run back to the graveyard because it's hollow ground and the witches can't apparently just step foot there, but they can come there. So Winifred runs and tells Billy, get him. And while she's talking, Billy grabs Max and takes the knife from him and just cuts his own mouth open where she had sewn it shut. And just starts cursing at her. Just, you witch, you horrible.
Tells her to go to hell.
Go to hell. Just mattered hell. And like, starts helping the kids.
Which I thought was, like, he was probably trying to help the whole time.
Probably.
He just couldn't talk.
Right.
But I thought it was weird that in a Disney movie, he told somebody to go to hell.
She said, I've been, and I found it very nice. But they decide they put Danny down in the grave that Billy came out of. They spread the salt all the way around. And all they need is Danny not to be a dumb bitch.
Yeah, like why did she get out of the circle?
One of the witches kicked Billy's head off, which happens throughout the movie. He loses that head, he's fine.
He always finds it.
But she hops out of the grave in the protected salt circle so she can go find his head. So then the witch is able to just grab her up easy peasy.
So Danny gets scooped up. They're trying to force her to drink the whatever potion was left after they spilled it all.
Right, Max, they also, when they did the daylight savings time, Max spilled all the potion. We have forgotten something.
What did we have forgotten?
We forgot that when they came out of the devil's house, the bullies were there. The bullies that took Max's shoes. Because Mary thought she smelled Max because she smelled his shoes. And they were dejected. They were going to let them go until they called them ugly.
Oh, then they put them in like the bird cages inside the house.
Yeah, they were going to eat them or use their potion on them or whatever.
But while Max saved his sister, they got the cat in the book.
They dumped out the potion and he took his Nikes back.
Bullies, but he took his shoes back.
He took his shoes back.
Which I thought was fair. It was a fair move.
That's fair, yeah. You get to stay in the cage. You're a dickhead.
So, Danny gets scooped up. They're trying to make her drink the potion. The potion gets... Thackeray jumps off a tree branch, lands on Winifred.
Winnie.
Knocks the potion out. Max catches it, and he threatens to smash it off. She doesn't let Danny go.
Right.
Which, at first, I was like, why didn't he just let it go? But then I realized it still had his.
Right. She tells him, he says, let her go or I'll smash this. She says, you smash it and I'll kill her. And so he does the only thing he can really do and drinks it, so she'll have no choice but to take him and let her sister go. Very nice move of the kid. So she snatches him up, and she's trying to suck his life force, but he's fighting her and scratching her.
But she doesn't realize she actually landed and stepped on the ground at the cemetery.
Is that why she turns to stone?
That's why, yeah, she starts... Her feet start smoking, and she turns to stone because she's standing on hallowed ground. Are you serious? You've seen this movie?
I've watched this movie for so many years, and I could never figure out, because the sun is also rising at that time. But she turns to stone, and then the other two sisters just pop out into dust because the sun's coming up.
Before that, the other two sisters were fighting. They were actually fighting to get to Winifred to help her. The one right in the vacuum has the cord is hanging down.
Right.
So the other kids, like Allison and Danny, were holding on, or Billy Butcher said, were holding on to the cord, trying to keep her from getting there. Sarah came over to help her.
Right. So
they all
let go at the right
wait
time.
until the sun's coming up. Let go. They both pop up over the tree line, so they both explode to dust.
Right. So they both pop into dust, but Winifred turns to stone and then turns to dust.
Because the sunlight hadn't hit her yet, but
and
she landed
I never put together that she stepped on the ground. I actually even have written down here, why the hell did she turn to stone first?
When she first stepped on the ground, I was like, she can't do that.
Right.
That was the whole plan.
That's the whole point.
Well, been working this whole time.
I be damned.
So, at this point we get...
all the witches are now dead.
All the witches
Everything's
are dead. The movie's
good.
ending.
She,
blah, blah, blah.
Hold on. Binks is also dead.
The cat dies.
The cat is dead.
But Binks' soul is now free to pass on.
Right.
But, before we get there, how much time of Max's life do you think was sucked out of him? Because she
did do a little bit of sucking.
So do you think, a normal person lives to be between 60 and 80? So you think he's down to 50 now?
He's probably going to die about 50, yeah.
But Max came out looking like he was on the runway at Kanye's show.
His shirt is very, Winifred's holding him when she turns to stone, so he has to rip his shirt to get out of her.
Well, I don't think he rips it so much as his body weight.
Still, his shirt rips. So he now just has on a ripped sweater and white t-shirt, and it is very
the
Kanye couture.
Homeless chic look.
Yeah.
But they come out of the woods. So Thackeray, old Thack reunites with Emily, his sister he tried to save years ago. He thanks everybody. He even thanks Max for lighting the candle, because without him lighting the candle, they couldn't have killed the witches.
Right.
Now he's released from his curse. Blah, blah, blah. Movie ends.
Well, as the credits are rolling, it cuts to the parents finally
getting out of
coming out. They're all drenched in sweat and tired, and the dad's like, man, I thought LA was wild. They'd partied until the sun came up. And then it goes to the two bullies that are still just chilling in the cages at the witch's house, just singing row, row, row your boat in a round.
How long do you think before, because nobody ever goes up to that house.
Nobody goes up to that house. I think they die in those cages.
I don't think they die. I think somebody's got to be passing by and they're yelling for help.
I think unless Max lets them out, they die in those cages, and I don't think Max is thinking about that right now. His shirt's ripped off. Allison's all horned up.
Oh, they got a couple of days.
He's a virgin. He's got to fix that shit. People make fun of him for 24 damn hours.
You obviously still like the movie.
I like the movie, and I watch it all the time. We watch it every year. It used to be on ABC Family, which is now Freeform, during their 31 Days of Halloween. I have the schedule downloaded on my phone. Hocus Pocus airs 9 times this year on the channel, plus on Halloween for 24 hours like TBS does A Christmas Story. But I was surprised that when it came out, critics hated it, audiences hated it, it didn't do well. I mean, it's a cult classic favorite now. They said largely thanks to the fact that it's shown all the time on TV.
Rotten
but people didn't really like it.
33%.
33%?
The audience score was 70.
That's better, but still low. I feel like a lot
70's kind of high for...
I was thinking it was pretty low considering how beloved this is. I literally, this week, bought at a store a Hocus Pocus shirt. It has the silhouettes of the 3 witches and says it's just a bunch of Hocus Pocus.
Only the loudest, most obnoxious people are actually getting on there.
I feel like a lot of disgruntled boyfriends and husbands that their wives are making them watch this or reviewing the movie. I'll watch this shit, but I'm going to flame it online.
I haven't flamed it yet.
But you do not like this movie.
It's not for me.
Every time I suggest we watch it, you're like,
But I know it's one of those things that we have to get out of the way.
Oh. So, I showed this movie to our nephew. He said he had watched it before. That was a lie. We watched it all the way through. He is 11 years old. We watched it all the way through. At the end, when Binks, the cat, dies and his soul was released, this kid is freaking crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he gets so enraged that the cat died. And I'm like, no, it's a happy ending. Like, his soul was released and he got to go be with his sister. He's like, the cat died! The cat is the stupidest movie ever. The cat died! You didn't tell me the cat was gonna die! I was like, well, I didn't really look at it as the cat was gonna die. The cat's soul was released and he's happy now. He's better. But he was so mad. And our nephew doesn't, strike me as the kind of kid that would cry because the cat died. I don't know. He said he would never watch it again with me.
He says a lot of things. But IMDb kind of stayed the same, around the 70%. They had a 6.8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some real winners leaving reviews.
Okay.
Let me open it up here.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about casting. They said that before Bette Midler starred as Winifred, that Cloris Leachman was Winifred and actually shot some as her before she was replaced. And they wanted Leonardo DiCaprio to be Max, but he turned down the role so he could do What's Eating Gilbert Grape. And Mary was supposed to be Rosie O'Donnell. Also, do you know where you know Danny from?
Now and Then.
Now and Then.
Now, I originally thought that Allison was some kind of weird younger version of Allie Larder when at the outside when she's giving him his phone number back. And I was like, she must have watched this movie and just did a full-on impersonation of all the mannerisms, the way she moved her mouth and everything. It looked dead on like Allie Larder. I had to look it up.
I don't see it at all.
You could have told me that was Allie Larder, even though the timeline doesn't fit. I would have been like, okay, yeah.
I don't see that at all.
So we got. I'm gonna go with the longest one first.
Oh boy.
1 star.
Okay.
Out of 10.
Out of 10?
Out of 10. All right. I see that this is a movie for children. Is this the excuse Disney uses for lazy writing, poor camera work, shoddy editing, worthless stereotyping, unpleasant, unengaging characters, cheap and cheerful sets? Is there a problem with the set being cheerful?
What's cheerful?
I don't know.
90% of this movie's in a weird witch's house or a grave.
Poor quality effects and nasty makeup, because that's what you have throughout this film. And I couldn't stop watching. It was my daughter's birthday treat. She still thinks it was fun. Let us start with the witty use of color. So, to me, I'm conflicted throughout this whole thing. It's like, let me bash this, but let me describe it in a way that sounds like I'm not bashing.
What do you mean the witty use of color?
The start of the film is seen under candlelight, so everything is orange tinted from the flames.
Okay.
Actually, this is a cunning ruse to cover over the fact that watching this film gives you hemorrhages in your retina.
Wow.
As soon as Bette Midler comes on the screen, you know the film has missed the point already. She is a wonderful actress. She's a fine-looking woman who can look like anything she wants. Just watch her in Ruthless People. So why make her look like a red squirrel being rogered by a horse?
Because she's a witch.
So this person is obvious. I'm going to go with English, like London.
She's a witch. Witches typically, when you think, are gross. They used to have the green nose and the warts and the stringy hair.
Then the infant leads. And this is also why there's a little bit of communication issues here. Male lead, who cares? Dork of the Week meets Wuss of the Year and leads to the sort of fine piece of work that will rat out his kid sister in double time when faced by a pair of failed bullies one step below Naughty's goblins in the fear ratings. Female teen lead falls for him on first sight anyway. Why? She is hot, rich, and did I mention rich and hot? see where this person's going.
But she doesn't fall for him. She gives him her number back.
Yeah.
She doesn't want anything to do with him.
Like, I think she was just being nice, like, being polite,
Right.
sociable at the party, and then going to the thing. So, she's rich and hot. Did I mention rich and hot? Did I mention he's a worthless rat-think chicken butt? Wow, opposites do attract. Okay, skip the rest because I can feel myself weeping blood just thinking about it. Just let me pour bile over the supposed showdown at the end, and complete with the sort of "should I move now, Mr. DeMille" shots that only come from really hard work from editing room insisting on keeping the cutting room floor clean and removing any excitement or tension from the climax of the film. That's a long ass sentence. In summary, if there were any characters, I don't care what happened to them. If there was any fun to be had, I never saw it. If the witches were relying on abducting and killing children to live, why make them unrelentingly, muggingly, hammingly, unthreatening, and so-called amusing? Answer: because this film is dreck of the very worst kind.
I can imagine leading a life in which I'm so unhappy that I spent so much time and use so many words to write such a review about a Disney kids movie about witches from the 90s.
I mean, it fills up my entire
When
screen.
was that written?
I don't know because I couldn't get all that in the screenshot.
But I mean, obviously not 1993.
I want to say it was like 2013.
Right. That seems like a lot. Also, we forgot to mention while we were going over what happened in the movie that when they knocked over the cauldron at the end and they only had a little bit of potion left, they had the bullies in the cages. They had countless other children coming in that they could have used it on, but they didn't. Winnie didn't want to do that because Danny called her ugly and she wanted Danny to pay. But they could have drank any of those other kids, made more potion, and then went and got Danny, and the witches would have totally won.
People lose sight of the goal.
Winnie's downfall is her own pride.
Yeah, she lost sight of the goal. Even though that person, she feels got over one with her.
Right. She got under her skin.
But that happens to people all the time.
She got under her skin, and now she's dead.
People lose sight of the goal. Like, okay, so-and-so got one over on you. Whatever.
Alright, sorry, go ahead.
There's another 1 out of 10.
Where are you finding reviews that give 10 stars? Aren't they always out of 5?
IMDb has 10.
Goodness gracious.
Mike, 2008. Highly offensive films that exploit stereotypes in the worst possible... Which stereotypes in the worst possible ways? I wonder if if Sarah Jessica Parker is proud of making this film, she should be ashamed.
No, she's totally down for a remake or a sequel, and she really liked this film. Sorry, go ahead.
And what's up with the boob love comments about an 8-year-old and other forms of sexual innuendo? No child should ever watch this film, despite of the comments posted on IMDb, because it blends quite frightening themes of child abduction, cannibalism, Satanism, and necromancy into a story basically about teenage kids.
Do you know the plot of Snow White? The evil queen sends a huntsman out into the woods to kill Snow White, carve out her motherfucking heart, put it in a box, and bring it back to her.
Yeah, I mean, they cleaned it up for the Disney version, but...
No, that's the plot of the Disney version, too.
They weren't going to carve out her heart.
Yes, they were.
Are you sure?
Yes.
We're going to have to watch that one again.
Yes.
I thought they were just going to bring her to her. So
the heart, she always wants her heart cut out is proof that they killed her. The queen always wants her heart. All kids' movies are savage as fuck. You're overlooking that because it's animation, but it's just as bad as this.
Mike goes on to say, Bette Midler has lost all my respect, and so has Kathy...
Najimy.
Is she... Which one was she?
Mary.
So she's the one that sniffed the kids and...
Right.
Their willingness to whore themselves for such stereotypical garbage is embarrassing.
What is it stereotypical of?
Witches. I got a couple of these, which we're going to discuss.
Oh, so this is
And-
like a bunch of butthurt Wiccans?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just lost all the Wiccan fans.
I'm down with it. Shit.
And Hollywood's enduring connection between witchcraft and Satanism is both poorly informed and highly destructive.
I'm sorry that
So
we
I
have
feel like-
offended the Satanists.
I feel like Mike is down with Satanism and, I guess, Wicca. This film is, in short, a careless exploitation of witchcraft for petty profit. Leave it on the shelf. So Mike is definitely butthurt about what witches are normally portrayed as.
So did Mike also leave a negative review for like The Wizard of Oz
Oh, probably.
and I don't know, The Craft? Trying to think of which movies. The Witches of Eastwick. Help me with a witch movie. Here's the thing. Charmed. You can't be precious about everything. I feel like witches might be one of them. Like, they're witches. It's a Halloween movie. I'm sure that psychopathic slashers, murderers are upset at the way Jason is portrayed in Friday the 13th. But here we are.
Here's another witch one.
Okay, I did not expect your reviews to lean towards witch appropriation.
What should have been one of the coolest movies of 1993 gets drugged down by inept dialogue and overusage of special effects.
There's not a ton of special effects. Like, a lot of the times when they're on their brooms, you can see the wires.
I guess they're talking about the light, like the 2 or 3 times that they use the purple smoke, the orange light, the green.
How dare they?
Portraying 3 witches coming back to life after 300 years to take revenge on Salem, Massachusetts. Hocus Pocus makes you roll your eyes. Just how did the usually dependable Bette Midler get involved in this swill? And by the 90s, wasn't it more chic to portray witches as good ever since Bewitched? Ever since Bewitched 40 years ago before?
Yeah, wasn't that like the 50s? Because it was at the same time as I Dream of Jeannie, right? And she wasn't allowed to show her belly button. So, like, that's 50s.
And one more thing. How could Omri Katz go from something as cool as Matinee to this? Oh well, at least most people involved in it have done good things since, namely Thora Birch. But seriously, folks, why waste your time on this junk when there are so many good movies out there? This title should be Hocus Pocus.
Next.
Oh, here's another. The Cabal's favorite movie, Satanism and Children's Sacrifice, was the headline to this one.
What?
Oh, Carl with a K. Here's a 1
Cabal?
star. The Cabal's favorite movie,
What is
Satanism and Children's Sacrifice. The Cabal's a loose, basically means a group of people, but some people use it in the whole Satanism thing. I'm also just making this
Isn't
shit
he a
up off
fighter
notes.
on Mortal Kombat?
A perfect example of Hillary Clinton and her practices. This is supposed to be family friendly, but it is by far the opposite. It is a cheeky way for them to expose you to child sacrifice for their gain of power, in all caps. These people are sick, in all caps. I have a question.
I got a lot of questions.
What in the world?
My head.
How could you hate a person so much that you conjure them up in this movie?
Like, you know that meme where it has the girl looking confused and there's all that advanced math going on behind her? I'm trying real hard. Like, I feel like that girl right now. I think you gave me a headache.
There's one
Trying to figure out what?
There was one that I didn't read.
This movie. What was the beginning? What about Hillary Clinton?
A perfect example of Hillary Clinton and her practices.
Okay, the witches?
I guess the children's sacrifice seemed to be their biggest.
Now, didn't Hillary Clinton work a lot to save the children and education and
Get them health insurance?
health insurance, like CHIP and shit? That was her main goal was children health insurance, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sacrifice them to those death squads.
I don't. Okay.
There was another one that was the other way. Was how it ended up saying something about this movie is the reason people like Trump could even run for president. And it was about the time of the first election. I was like, how do you
How
hate
is this
something so
movie?
bad that you conjure up people that you hate from other things.
How is this movie political? Oh, I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm just going to pass. I expected to not be able to refute a lot of your negative reviews, because this movie does have its problems. I feel like it's a bit sexualized for a Disney movie. I don't know what it's rated. It might be like PG or PG-13 or something. Maybe okay. It just seems weird to me. So much virgin boob talk, and that Sarah Jessica Parker wants to play with all the little boys. I could get that it's a little hokey. It's got its issues with, these witches been dead for 300 years, but she wants to see his driver's license. Like, I thought I wasn't going to be able to refute a lot of your negativity. But the reviews, either the reviews that you've chosen to read to me, or just the reviews that are there, are the dumbest, lowest common denominator of humanity.
You gotta remember, I'm picking out the lowest graded one.
I know, and I understand that, but I thought they would be legitimately low-rated reviews that I wouldn't be able to argue with.
No,
but no, they're just...
I have one that I'm saving for last. These next couple are just... This movie is almost 30 years old. Like, it came out in 1993. It's 26 years old.
Right.
Old Jimmy gave it a 1-star review because he rented it in HD. But it sure wasn't HD at all. Rip off.
I mean, I rented it in HD too. It looks pretty fine to me.
Yeah, but even if you rented it in SD, it's...
I assume that the special effects, that the smoke and light probably look a little worse because I rented it in HD. But, it is what it is. It was made before HD, buddy.
Wildcat wrote the worst 1-star. This movie should have died a long time ago. That it has a cult status reflects poorly on cults.
Jesus Christ.
That was left June 24th, 2019.
Wow.
And old Kurt here, charging for an old movie like this is wrong. Should be free on Amazon Prime. Here's a problem I have with old Kurt. So Kurt, you go out and you spend money on your hobby, and you say, what could Kurt possibly make that we could sell here? Say Kurt knits blankets.
Okay.
It takes a really long time to knit a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
At least an intricate one.
Right.
With a pattern. So those things usually do cost a lot.
Right.
Say, after a couple years, you're like, oh, Kurt, you need to just give up the blanket for free, dude. Like, your services have been rendered useless because the blanket's this X amount of time old.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of old things that you have to pay for.
Like,
and if they make a deal with Hulu or Amazon Prime or whatnot, okay, cool. They've made a deal. Also, Kurt, 9 times in October it will be available on Freeform, and on the 31st it is available for 24 hours.
If
it'll
Freeform
be available.
Wants to send us, like,
it'll be available on demand on Freeform. I'm out here batting for you, Freeform.
They're owned by Disney. They should get us a Disney Plus membership.
I will take a free Disney Plus membership.
Yeah.
I will take a free Disney Plus membership, and I will go back and retract everything I just said about Snow White.
No, we're not being sellouts. So, this is the last one I'm going to read, and it's
thank Jesus.
You don't even have to respond to it because you're not going to be able to. When you do it to me and I do it to you, be like, you ready? Because you're never not ready, or you're never really ready for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Jackie.
Okay.
1 star. Jackie looks like a dude, and this is going to sound like I am at a pre-K reading level.
Okay.
Just follow along. I'll repeat it if you want.
I probably don't want.
I love the action, but the slow pace of the movie is bad. Don't worry, man. I'm not going to make it into a lot more than yourself. Time for the beautiful game of hockey and the subject matter. How many charges can you send me? Abnormal cells or the bomb dough? Run out on a disc of my life. and I was all buzzed up with you boys. Are they located in the morning, yelling at least one? Hocus Pocus. Well, my review sums it up.
You know those, like, games? I do them in the business I run sometimes. Those, like, social media games where you're, like, you give somebody, like, the first 4 words that you type in, and then you just hit the middle button of your auto predict. Like, I think they did. Can I see it? Because I am more visual than audio. Audio, I don't know. Audio was not a word. I love the action, but the slow pace of this movie is bad. Don't worry, man. I'm not going to make it into a lot more than yourself. Time for the beautiful game of hockey and the subject matter. How many charges can you send me? Abnormal sales or the bomb dough run out on a disc of my life, and I was buzzed up with you boys. Are they located in the morning, yelling at least one? Hocus Pocus. Well, my review sums it up.
It's like you hit the microphone at different times of the day to voice input and stuff.
No, my dad does that, the voice to text, and it comes out way better than that. Maybe he meant the movie didn't make sense. His review didn't make sense, therefore my review sums it up.
You're giving him too much credit. That is somebody
I think he hit the auto-predictive text, middle button, until it went back to Hocus Pocus, and he was like, I'm done here. I don't know what to do with Jackie.
So, in summary,
he had like a hat and a chain on in his picture. Maybe he was trying to write a fly-ass rhyme. Maybe he was being a rap singer. No. Those were everybody else's negative reviews. What is your negative review? Because I have to make you watch this every year with me.
It's not my cup of tea, but I wouldn't say that it's terrible.
What do you find wrong with it? What is your issue?
Told you my issues. Him throwing his hands on the burning cauldron and then her knowing how to pull somebody over and ask for their driver's license.
Do you find that the abnormal sales are dope, though?
No, they're not dope.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little hokey, but it's also from 1993. They did the best they could with what they had.
All of, like, Disney's live-action movies are a tad bit hokey, though, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of them kind of have to be they want to appeal to as many people as possible.
Right.
To make as much money as possible. Which doesn't always lead to...
It apparently didn't work out for them.
Better art.
You know, we talked about how it came out in July, so it didn't have to compete with Nightmare Before Christmas and Addams Family Values. They said that they also did not do well when they came out, but now have like this cult following. And
I think a lot of movies...
We're going to do Nightmare Before Christmas at some point. I don't want to spoil anything.
Always
but
dog it.
I have not been able to stay awake for the whole thing once in my life.
Well, we're gonna caffeinate you up.
It's
gonna be the first movie after Halloween before.
This last time we watched it, actually finally made it to the holiday trees. Several times I've watched it and then woke up at the end and being like, what the hell's going on? For the longest time, I hadn't seen an Oogie Boogie. Like, it is not for me. So I'm going to have to caffeinate up for that one. You're going to have to poke me every now and then.
What did we decide we're doing next?
On my calendar, it says Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy will be next. This has been Run It Back.
You can follow us on our social media accounts on Facebook and Instagram at Run It Back Pod and on Twitter at Pod Run It Back. Instagram is definitely the place to be. It's where I'm the most active. We put out new podcasts every Tuesday. Now that we're back in the swing of things, I have a new computer, so we shouldn't, everybody fingers crossed, have any more technical issues.
And this has been Run It Back for Hocus Pocus. Next time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
See you next week.